Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Zongwu. I, Zhao Yuzhen, will never go down the mountain. Zhao Yuzhen once passed through and took over the leadership of Qingcheng Mountain. He practiced both Taoism and swordsmanship and was an immortal of Taoism and swordsmanship. But as soon as he thought of the inevitable fate script of going down the mountain, he decided to be patient, steady, and cautious. Just as you wake up and don't go down the mountain, the system becomes stronger, and completing Sect.Zhao can earn you a lot of rewards. Under the peach blossom tree, obtain millennium-old lightning-struck wood, forge swords and peach blossoms. Tianshi Cave, with 100 years of cultivation, has reached the level of divine and mystical realm. Shangqing Palace, obtain the heavenly gang sword formation, open the heavenly gate with one sword. Prince Xu Xiao of Beiliang personally leads a heavy snow dragon to ride a horse in the rivers and lakes. The first stop of Qingcheng Mountain. Hehe, if that's the case, we invited Zhao Tianren for a military parade today. Zhao Yuzhen. Thank you for inviting me, get out. Okay. Startled 100,000 army to detour 800 miles overnight. At the hero feast, the snow moon sword Immortal Hanyi was killed by the joint efforts of the Dark River Tang sect. Zhao Yuzhen was angry and said, "Today I'll leave my words here, even if I get kicked to death by my wife." Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1 2 Peaches for Two Widows, No. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 2 Peaches for Two Widows, Not a Lost Qingcheng Mountain. Surrounded by mountains, it is shrouded in a thin mist like a veil all year round. Countless unique ancient trees rise from the ground and soar into the clouds. Such wonders are remarkable to ordinary people, and if a martial arts practitioner stands at the peak, there will be a heroic emotion about to soar against the wind and compete with the heavens. In the bamboo forest behind the mountain, I saw a handsome purple-robed boy holding a carefully crafted peachwood sword. The sword's slender body exudes a strange luster. The young man waved his long arm and in an instant, the entire bamboo forest was filled with green leaves, even the tall green bamboo swayed along. Dragon Quest Technique. The young man's voice is gentle yet not lacking in dominance. As he spoke, the peachwood sword transformed into a golden light from his hand, and in an instant, it rushed into the sky, casting countless sword shadows. The young man pointed his two fingers together towards a place in the bamboo forest, and his true energy flowed through his body. In an instant, hundreds of sword shadows arranged neatly in the sky, forming a golden dragon-like shape. The sound waves emitted by the passionate dragon chant surged from the bamboo forest in all directions, causing it to sway like a river. As the dragon transformed its form, countless green bamboo trees burst open with a loud roar, and a large number of fragments scattered in the clouds in the wind. The young man's wrist turned and the peachwood sword on the dragon's head rushed towards him. Without the body, other illusions also dissipate on their own. The golden dragon disappeared and the entire bamboo forest was calm, except for the scattered bamboo fragments in the sky, as if nothing had happened just now. The needle doesn't poke, but in this mountain and forest, my heart is surprisingly calm. Gently stroked his peach blossom sword and pinned it back to his waist. The Yulong decision obtained from checking in today is still acceptable, but he originally hoped that the system could help him take the heart technique of the fire formation to the next level. Zhao Yuzhen looked at the familiar scene before her and walked towards a pavilion with ease. Sitting straight on the stone stool, pinching and counting. Not bad, considering that he has spent 18 years in this world today. Like his predecessors who traveled thousands of times, he also awakened his own system. Becoming stronger without going down the mountain. Just like his simple and crude name, this system only needs to sign in according to the requirements to obtain various martial arts techniques. What divine weapons and sharp weapons, even unparalleled mental techniques are available. And there is also a special Sect.Zhao function. Every time he eats a peach from his own yard, even if he completes a special check.in, he will receive a special reward. It's hard to recall the past. I was roast that my name was exactly the same as the sad brother.in.law in the book. As soon as I opened my eyes, bang. People have traveled directly. Don't worry, he has no intention of going down the mountain, let alone the wonderful experience of encountering a fairy under the peach blossom. If possible, he doesn't even want to see peach trees. The system just played a joke on him that special rewards must be obtained by eating the fruit of the peach trees in his own yard. This is really life's impermanence. The large intestine wraps around the small intestine. Thinking of this, he touched the peach with sword on his waist. This is the special reward of the system. The sword body is made of lightning-struck wood dating back 5,000 years, and inside is the sword embryo containing the Xianyang sword. It can be said that it is the sword of the warmest and most young in the world. All evil forces cannot get close to him at all. Things like their own heavenly gang sword formation, Lihua formation heart determination, and imperial sword technique are all obtained through special rewards. With the blessing of the system, he easily stepped onto the carefree realm that many people can only look up to for a lifetime. The special reward only comes once a year in the past 18 years, but it's okay, after the heart determination of the fire formation. Zhao Yuzhen opened up the pattern directly. Since the special reward relies on eating peaches, he can simply ripen them. He knows how to pull wool. Zhao Yuzhen's lips curved into a warm smile as he was imagining a better life in the future. Master, senior brother. Peaches are about to ripen. I saw a boy who looked 15 or 16 years old running over with a silly smile. Huang Manor, your nose is quite agile. Zhao Yuzhen casually called out the boy's nickname. The foolish young man in front of me, originally named Su Longxiang, was the second son of Xu Xiao, the king of northern Liang. In theory, he should have been taken as a disciple by Zongwu Mountain, but for some reason, he was intercepted by his own Yin Shibwa halfway through. It has been half a year since he came here, and during this period, he played well with himself. He also quite likes this silly young man. Senior brother, if you stick your sword into the soil, flowers. Su Longxiang smiled foolishly and kept gesturing in the air with both hands. Zhao Yuzhen smiled slightly. Su Longxiang doesn't understand the determination to leave the fire formation, he only knows that he ripens peaches at this time every month. That's not like inserting a sword into the soil. Senior brother, this is done by using the heart resolve of the Lihua formation to ripen. No wonder everyone says you're foolish like this. Zhao Yuzhen said helplessly. My determination to leave the fire formation has only reached the 7th level, and it takes a month to ripen the peaches. Su Longxiang, this silly kid, thought he could make the peach mature just by inserting his sword into the soil. Looking at Su Longxiang, who was said to be silly yet happy, he joked again. Don't be fooled. Since you came here, you've been pestering me. It's not because there are peaches in my yard, is it? After hearing this, Su Longxiang shrunk his body as if he had been exposed, scratched his head, and pouted, saying. No, it's not. Senior brother, you are very similar to my brother, I like both Hehe. After speaking, he grinned again. Your brother. Zhao Yuzhen raised her eyebrows and then suddenly realized, saying. Your brother Su Fengnian is known as the most beautiful man in northern Liang. You say I look like him, do you mean I'm also very handsome? He pointed to his face. It has to be said that Zhao Yuzhen was originally a beautiful man in the drama who was enough to make the cold moon sword immortal fall in love at first sight, with a beautiful appearance and extraordinary handsomeness. Compared to Su Fengnian, he is no less impressive, and even carries a hint of immortal aura. Su Longxiang couldn't express himself, and just now he was racking his brain to figure out how to answer. Upon hearing Zhao Yuzhen say so, she nodded somewhat understanding. Looking at Su Longxiang with a burning gaze, Zhao Yuzhen chuckled helplessly. The people on the mountain all say you're stupid, but I see you're actually very smart in your heart. At this moment, flattering me means you want to share more peaches, right? Su Longxiang chuckled foolishly. Master, senior brother, you are the best person. Peaches are so sweet, I want to eat more. He lowered his head awkwardly and then quietly looked up to observe Zhao Yuzhen's expression. Okay, how many would you like to eat? Zhao Yuzhen asked with a light smile. Upon hearing this, Su Longxiang immediately picked up his fingers, pointed 5 fingers over and over, and finally swallowed his saliva, extending 2. 2 of you, you're quite greedy. Just, if you eat our peaches, you'll have to give back my 2 beautiful daughters-in-law after going down the mountain, a fair deal. Su Longxiang looked at Zhao Yuzhen and nodded hard. Senior brother, go down the mountain, I'm sure. I'll definitely ask my brother to find you 2 beautiful daughters-in-law. Huh, okay, that's a deal. Zhao Yuzhen gave a carefree smile. Don't misunderstand, he has no interest in the outside world. The 2 of them chatted and laughed along the way, without paying any attention to the passing little Taoist. At this moment, his expression was thunderous, as if the end of the world was about to come. Master, uncle. Actually wants to go down the mountain. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Three-Eyed Monkey, Tai Lion Triumph. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Three-Eyed Monkey, Tai Lion Triumph. In the small courtyard of the mountain gate. On the branches of the peach tree next to the house, there are small flower buds that look quite lovable. There is actually a long time before maturity. Zhao Yuzhen now has the determination to leave the fire formation, and at this level, with just a slight exertion, he can bear peaches in less than half an hour. He inserted his wooden sword into the ground, his hands imprinted, and a golden aura surged towards the hilt with his fingers. Wrapped around the sword and submerged underground, it rushed up the branches along the roots of the peach tree. During this period, waves of warmth came from Zhao Yuzhen's side. Su Longxiang on the side also looked at him with eyes shining brightly. Senior brother is really amazing. It would be great if he could have such powerful martial arts someday. The peach tree that came into contact with Zhao Yuzhen's breath was now full of vitality, with its flower buds rapidly bulging and its color becoming darker and darker. Puff. After a few faint and imperceptible sounds, peach blossoms bloomed in an instant. Immediately after, a gust of fresh wind blew by, instantly turning into a shower of flowers. And in its original position, it was only with the palm of an adult that the pink peach could fit. Su Longxiang's gaze was completely captivated by this strange sight. Looking at the peach tree with its lively water, I couldn't help but swallow several mouthfuls of saliva, and the greedy insect in my stomach also followed suit. He smacked his lips as if a sweet peach was already in his mouth. Although he was greedy, he looked eagerly at Zhao Yuzhen, as if waiting for his agreement. Zhao Yuzhen looked at Su Longxiang with a burning gaze, smiled, and waved his hand. Go pick it. Su Longxiang, who had received approval, cheered and ran bouncing under the peach tree to climb up. Just as he could reach the peach with his hand, a black shadow suddenly passed by his hand. On the tree, which originally had few fruits, 2 peaches were missing in an instant. Peach trees that have undergone system transformation can only bear up to 3 fruits at a time. 2 people are missing suddenly, who can bear it? Zhao Yuzhen raised her eyebrows slightly and instantly locked onto the unwelcome guest. That is a small monkey with a gray all-over body. At first glance it looks no different from ordinary primates. Just Zhao Yuzhen saw it very clearly. There was a small slit on the monkey's forehead, just like the closed eyes of humans, it was just vertical. Good guy, three-eyed spirit monkey. Unexpectedly, there is such a spirit on Qingcheng Mountain. Time flies, the little monkey's movements are extremely agile, and it is like a fish in water on the tree. After jumping a few times, I'm about to jump out of the courtyard. Zhao Yuzhen lightly raised her left foot and a small stone rose into the air. Immediately afterwards, he unleashed his finger-flicking ability with a gentle flick. The small stones mixed with this gust of strong wind flew towards the little monkey, hitting its leg without bias. Zhi. The little monkey let out a strange cry and was about to fall off the tree branch. At this moment, Su Longxiang's body tightened and his anger surged upwards. He soared several meters into the air and grabbed the little monkey, landing on the ground. The little monkey in his arms was holding 2 pink peaches, and his round big eyes were vigilant as he looked at them, trembling and refusing to let go of the peaches. Su Longxiang didn't know what to do, and as soon as he reached out, the little monkey frowned and pulled at him. "Senior brother, this monkey is really fun." Su Longxiang was not angry and smiled foolishly. Zhao Yuzhen couldn't help but laugh a bit. Why is this monkey still like a child? Su Longxiang was very fond of the 3-eyed spirit monkey. He reached out to touch its head, but was always pushed away with disdain. Looking at the uniquely spiritual 3-eyed monkey, Zhao Yuzhen raised her eyebrows slightly. I was calculating in my heart that once this creature recognizes its master, it will be extremely loyal and brave, and once it transforms into a 3-eyed demon monkey, its combat power will also be impressive. Multiple cards and paths, little one, not a single peach is for free. Zhao Yuzhen smiled slightly and said. Little one, this peach belongs to us. If you can return it to us, how about giving you one? As long as you obediently listen, there are endless peaches here. The 3-eyed spirit monkey looked at Zhao Yuzhen and then at the 2 peaches in his arms that he couldn't fit. Seems struggling in my heart. Looking back at Su Longxiang, who was carrying him, he struggled symbolically a few times before reluctantly handing over one. The other one was tightly held in her arms, afraid that Zhao Yuzhen would turn back. Hey, it's truly a 3-eyed spirit monkey, and human language can truly understand. Senior brother, this monkey actually listens to you. Su Longxiang looked at the obedient monkey and looked at Zhao Yuzhen with admiration in his eyes. Wiped the largest peach on the clothes, and then handed it to Zhao Yuzhen with a silly smile. Little monkey, let me touch your head. He really likes the furry 3-eyed monkey. Unfortunately, the other party didn't react at all to this and instead didn't turn their heads. Su Longxiang could only reluctantly squat in the corner and nibble on peaches. Looking at Su Longxiang, who had a heart that could not die from smashing monkeys, Zhao Yuzhen reluctantly bit a peach. The sweet juice drips onto the taste buds, and the sound of the system also sounds. Congratulations to the host for completing the special check. In. The system rewards Tai Lion technique to be increased to great perfection. As soon as the words fell, a burning sensation surged from the soles of the feet towards the spiritual cover. The pure and pure true qi flowed through the meridians, and Zhao Yuzhen's whole body's qi and blood also surged with it. Unfortunately, it's not the fire formation centrifuge technique, and the ripening process still takes a month. For now, let's try the Tai Lion technique that can be directly filled. Heart and mind were moving, and a wave of true qi flowed from Zhao Yuzhen's belly. Edict. True qi surged up in her abdomen, and a phantom of a golden lion suddenly appeared in the air several tens of meters behind Zhao Yuzhen. His mane burned like a raging fire in the wind, his front paws swayed in the air, and he opened his mouth to roar at the sky. The sound waves emitted spread like ripples towards the surroundings. The trees within a 100-mile radius of Qingcheng Mountain were all shaken backward, and the leaves were swept everywhere by the gust of sound waves. Even the stones on the ground were shaken up and bounced back to the ground with a clattering sound. Su Longxiang and the 3-eyed monkey stayed in place. The peaches are almost falling to the ground. One person, one monkey, with 4 eyes facing each other, they had never seen such a spectacle before, let alone made any reaction. Qingcheng Mountain is rich in vegetation, among which numerous birds and animals live. At this moment, the roar of the lion awakened the most primitive fear in their bloodline. Even the fierce beasts fighting against each other were trembling and bowing down to the small courtyard where Zhao Yuzhen was located at the same time. The phantom of the golden lion, in their eyes, is a supreme existence. And it is the king that all their beasts must obey. The disciples inside the gate were even more affected by the impact, and some of them with weak skills were directly thrown out. Master, shouldn't it be Tai Yi's lion technique that is perfect? This speed is too fast, isn't it? How big this is. Senior uncle has already completed the Tai Yi lion technique. Let me tell you, the next leader must be senior uncle. Perhaps this time, the senior uncle's golden crown gift will directly make him the head teacher in the sect. I think there's a possibility. Our martial uncle was already in the Xiaoyao heavenly realm 2 years ago. This kind of genius shouldn't be in charge of teaching. Who should be in charge of teaching? The disciples looked at the small courtyard where Zhao Yuzhen was, their eyes filled with envy. The phantom of the golden lion is simply an unattainable cultivation for them. Only a real great accomplishment can achieve such a state. Martial uncle, you are worthy of being a rare genius in Qingcheng Mountain for 100 years. In the conference hall. We must never let Yuzhen go down the mountain. Yeah. He went down the mountain and the world soon became chaotic. The elders heard that Zhao Yuzhen had the idea of going down the mountain and were gathered together to discuss how to persuade him. The lion's roar that echoed through the sky reached their ears. Tai lion technique great perfection. This is a technique of our sect that they are familiar with, but all the elders are here. Who among the disciples in the sect can have such profound skills? They unanimously spoke out. Zhao Yuzhen. Eyes cast in unison towards the small courtyard where Zhao Yuzhen was located. A shadow of a golden lion looms above, overlooking everything in Qingcheng Mountain. Like a peerless king, silent yet capable of exerting immense pressure on everyone. Yuzhen didn't start practicing the Tai lion technique 3 days ago, but now she's actually fully satisfied. There is a saying that the waves behind the Yangtze River push the waves before us, and we have finally reached the time to soar. Back then, at my age, I couldn't even practice lightness skills well. Yuzhen, this child, has a terrifying talent. Elders, every word you say makes me feel a bit ashamed. After all, at Zhao Yuzhen's age, not to mention being full, I am soaking in the realm of the immortal realm. But more importantly, it is joy. It is God's blessing that Zhao Yuzhen can be a genius in Qingcheng Mountain. Yin Changsong's expression on the side was not as attractive. Looking at the illusion of the golden lion, he breathed a sigh and kept his mind flashing with his junior brother's instructions. Zhao Yuzhen was born with the destiny of heaven and man, and could not leave Qingcheng Mountain for half a step in his life. If left, it could lead to chaos in the world and turmoil in the martial arts world, but in severe cases, it could lead to death and destruction. Now they can still hold him down with these old bones working together. If we wait until we reach a higher level of cultivation in the future, how about that? Elders, now is not the time to marvel. Yuzhen, we must not let him go down the mountain. The expressions of the elders also began to deteriorate, and they all realized the seriousness of the matter. After a few seconds of eye contact, he quickly got up and rushed towards Zhao Yuzhen's small courtyard, stepping on his lightness skills. It is hundreds of miles away from Qingcheng Mountain. A snow-white figure swiftly walked through the mountains and forests, with a blue sword shining in the sunlight on its waist. Agility were perfectly displayed on this person, and they ran out for more than 10 meters without any dust or sand on their feet. Even top experts may not have such a level of lightness skills. This is. Suddenly, a powerful burst of true qi erupted, and the swordsman in white jumped onto the tree with a little agility. Looking at the direction of Qingcheng Mountain, I feel a bit more incredible. Xiaoyao Heavenly Realm, Tai Lion Technique, is it that Zhao Yuzhen's strength was only that day? It is worthwhile to come from Dujianjian irrigation project thousands of miles to compete with such a strong person. The swordsman's calm eyes rarely showed a hint of joy. Gently, the branch only trembled a few times. The swordsman in white has disappeared. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. I really didn't want to go down the mountain, new book seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. I really didn't want to go down the mountain with a loud shout, all the true qi that suddenly rushed into the body was dispersed. Zhao Yuzhen's whole body suddenly felt relaxed, and the golden lion illusion suspended above her head dissipated instantly without the support of true energy. Looking at the blue sky and the mountains, he only felt that there was nowhere better than this. Just sit in the courtyard every day, add a pot of tea, and wait for you to become a fairy. Going down the mountain. It's impossible to go down the mountain in this lifetime. For others, going down the mountain means officially venturing into the world and becoming famous. But Zhao Yuzhen, lying down, can make a name for himself. The martial arts world is not so easy to explore, and at this time, Tian has been eyeing Bailey. There is also the Northern Yang King brewing to step into the martial arts world, and major sects are constantly enmity. More importantly, the martial arts world has always been about fighting, killing, pleasure, kindness, and enmity, and more importantly, the 4 words, worldly wisdom. He doesn't want to take care of so many troublesome things. It's the thing he wants to do most in his life, to live a peaceful life in the paradise of Qingcheng Mountain. What he didn't know was that he was looking up at the sky at 180 degrees and imagining the future. The elders and disciples of the sect have already arrived outside the small courtyard. Master, if you don't make a name for yourself, you will be amazed. Yeah, I usually stay in the small courtyard and don't leave. In just a few days, I've actually perfected the Tai lion technique. The next leader must be senior uncle, TSK. Seeing the elders coming, the disciples who were eating melons quickly retreated to both sides. Seeing the heavy expressions on the faces of the elders, they thought they had said the wrong thing and quickly lowered their heads, afraid to look directly. In fact, the elders didn't care about what these disciples said. Their attention was all on Zhao Yuzhen, who was looking up at the sky. In their eyes, Zhao Yuzhen's face was clearly filled with 8 big words. The world is so big, I want to go see it. This is absolutely impossible. Yuzhen. At this moment, Yin Changsong, as a senior apprentice, walked into the small courtyard. My junior brother has passed away, and he is the highest-ranking person here. Naturally, he also has a responsibility to advise Zhao Yuzhen, this child. Indeed, if such a genius were to step into the martial arts world, they would surely have achieved their own accomplishments. However, the fate of heaven and humanity is destined to lose some things. Looking at his innocent disciple, Yin Changsong suddenly didn't know where to start. At this moment, Zhao Yuzhen also noticed a group of melon-eating disciples and elders outside the door. Looking at Yin Changsong with a solemn expression, he felt a bit puzzled. Isn't it something that should be happy if I break through on my own? Yuzhen, the martial arts world is the world's martial arts world and the dream in the hearts of all young people. However, you carry the destiny of heaven and humanity, and once you go down the mountain. Alright, he knows what's going on. Master, rest assured that Yuzhen will never step out of the mountain gate in his lifetime. Zhao Yuzhen just showed a warm smile. There is a saying that goes, there is no silver of 300 taels here. The elders exchanged a glance and saw the same thing in each other's eyes. Yuzhen, this child definitely wants to go down the mountain. Just seeing them all here, I don't want to reveal my true thoughts. Little did they know that their intentions had already been passed down to them by a passing disciple by chance. Looking at the elder with a solemn expression, Zhao Yuzhen smiled helplessly. He really doesn't want to go down the mountain. Yin Changsong let out a faint sigh and his gaze fell on Su Longxiang beside him. His gaze lingered on Zhao and Su. My junior brother is really lucky, but I am not bad either. Huang Manor is a bit silly, but her talent is still very good. Su Longxiang also noticed his master's gaze and stood up from the corner in confusion, with a peach still in his mouth that he hadn't had time to swallow. Seeing the master's gaze cast upon him, he looked at his own peach and quickly put his hand behind his back. Master, you're here. This peach is the most delicious fruit he has ever eaten since childhood. If his brother were here, he would definitely take it out. But, master, he is also very good to himself. Su Longxiang was clutching the peach in a tangled manner, constantly glancing at his master in the afterglow. Yin Changsong nodded slightly, with a hint of helplessness in his eyes. As an elder, he doesn't want a peach that has been saliva-stained, even if it's a fairy peach in the sky. This disciple is good everywhere, but he is always unfamiliar with himself and doesn't have the same taste as a master disciple. On the contrary, he stays with Zhao Yuzhen every day. Well, it's not bad to learn. Wait a minute, is this? Yin Changsong's gaze was sharp. Even if the three-eyed monkey had already cleverly hid in the corner, he could detect the clues at a glance. Born with 3 eyes, is this the legendary three-eyed spirit monkey? Not only Yin Changsong, but other elders also noticed this strange creature. Others may consider it as an ordinary primate, but they know very well how great it can be in the future. Such spiritual objects have not appeared for over 100 years. How could it appear in Zhao Yuzhen's courtyard today? Look, is it the legendary spirit beast, the three-eyed spirit monkey, in Uncle Shi's courtyard? Senior uncle is simply blessed by heaven. Like us, it's satisfying to be able to break through the realm of freedom in this lifetime. The disciples also discovered clues. Their Qingcheng Mountain is a way of practicing Taoism and looking for dragons and qi. For the rare treasures in the world, spiritual beasts and herbs naturally involve more. Rare and exotic creatures like the three-eyed monkey have naturally been seen in books. Is it just that these spirit beasts are sucking on peaches in their own martial uncle's small courtyard? Their gaze at Zhao Yuzhen added another layer of admiration. At the age of 17, he stepped into the realm of carefree heaven, and after 3 days of practicing the Tai Yi Lion technique, he achieved perfection and carried the destiny of heaven and humanity. Just taking out any one of them is enough to make people look up to them for a lifetime. At this moment, I have obtained a spiritual beast again. Such luck and intelligence are somewhat conservative, even if I say I will become the first in the future. Since you are envious, then you should also devote yourself to cultivation like your master, and not mind the chaos and disturbance at the foot of the mountain. Yin Changsong suddenly turned around and said. His gaze lightly brushed over the heads of the disciples, and he fell silent. Yuzhen, the path of cultivation is difficult and arduous, and it is inevitable that there will be boring moments. At this moment, it is the time to test your will. He earnestly instructed Zhao Yuzhen. The unease in Yin Changsong's heart grew bigger and bigger. This child had both talent and opportunities, but unfortunately, he couldn't go down the mountain. The martial arts world is already chaotic enough, we can't let Yuzhen interfere any further. With Zhao Yuzhen's repeated guarantees, Yin Changsong and Su Longxiang finally left his small courtyard. Master, senior brother. Before leaving, Su Longxiang still tightly grasped the peach in his hand. The look in Zhao Yuzhen's eyes was also full of reluctance. Huang Manor, you should listen to senior uncle's words, practice well, and come back to senior brother's place to eat peaches next month. In the end, Zhao Yuzhen gave a gentle smile and reluctantly followed Yin Changsong out of the door. On the way back, Yin Changsong felt 100 perplexities in his heart. All the elders of Qingcheng Mountain are familiar with every tree and grass. How could there be a spirit beast that they didn't notice? Is it possible that Yuzhen, this child, secretly descended the mountain without us knowledge? A bad idea permeated the hearts of every elder. Their faces instantly turned extremely ugly. Yeah, there's nothing within 100 miles that we can't notice. How could a spirit beast like the three-eyed monkey have no warning signs before its appearance? I'm afraid it's really not Yuzhen, this child. Upon hearing this, Yin Changsong waved his sleeve. The two disciples immediately understood and took a step forward. In the future, your senior uncle's courtyard will be patrolled day and night by additional personnel. If there is any disturbance, please report it to me immediately. After listening, the two disciples bowed respectfully until the elders left before lifting their heads. Do you think our martial uncle really went down the mountain? Don't talk nonsense. Do whatever Master asks you to do. If Master goes down the mountain, there will be chaos in the world. In the following days, day and night. As soon as Zhao Yuzhen's door opened, a disciple would immediately stop in front of him and respectfully ask. Where is Master going? Could you please bring me one too? Boy, Qingcheng Mountain is just a big place. What's the reason for fear of losing it? Also, as we have already said, he will never go down the mountain in his lifetime. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4, Are You Zhao Yuzhen? New book seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4, Are You Zhao Yuzhen? In addition to the Qingcheng Mountain disciples who are monitoring outside the gate day and night, Zhao Yuzhen can really say that he will lie down completely in the next days. In the early spring of the painting tower, a tree of peach blossom smiles. Zhao Yuzhen bought some bamboo chairs and benches for herself in the courtyard, and set up tea sets. From morning till night, as long as tea is still boiling in the stove, he can sit for a whole day. Zhi. The three-eyed monkey is jumping up and down on the peach tree in the courtyard, as if it has already made this place their home. Zhao Yuzhen has been practicing martial arts in the mountains since childhood, which brings a sense of affinity to these solitary spiritual beings. Moreover, besides peaches, Zhao Yuzhen also has many fruits, and the three-eyed monkey is willing to stay here. There is food, drink, and people they like, and any smarter animal in this place will choose to stay obediently. For Zhao Yuzhen, this is also a good thing. He has witnessed the loyalty and bravery of the three-eyed monkey after recognizing its master. I think I am so smart and lively, and the future is definitely limitless. Staying here will only benefit me without any harm. Senior brother. Senior brother. At noon, when Zhao Yu was truly planning to sign, someone knocked on the courtyard door. Monkey, I'm here to play. I saw Su Longxiang push open the door and playfully take out a piece of cake to tease the three-eyed monkey. The disciples outside didn't stop Su Longxiang when they saw him. This kid is really a fool with good luck, he can play so well with the future leader. Squeak. The three-eyed monkey doesn't really like Su Longxiang that much. Even if he gets to know him well these days, he doesn't like him touching his head. Quickly grabbing the pastry, he jumped onto the tree and started chewing. Watching the two treasures snatched back and forth, Zhao Yuzhen just smiled helplessly. Sit back on the bamboo chair and start today's check.in. Congratulations to the host for receiving the check.in reward. Soul devouring stick. Burning stick. Zhao Yuzhen became interested and called up the backpack panel in the system. There is indeed an extra black stick inside. This thing was really no different from a fire stick in the early stage, and it was a bit unsightly. Looking at the three-eyed spirit monkeys chirping on the tree, Zhao Yuzhen took them out of her backpack. The monkey's stick is just right, I'll give you this thing. After speaking, he threw the soul-eating stick over. The three-eyed spirit monkey was also polite, and immediately jumped up to catch a new toy. The human felt that the ugly thing was a rare object in his eyes, so he happily rubbed it a few times. He bared his teeth and made a formal bow to Zhao Yuzhen. Undoubtedly, it is a natural spiritual object. I only learned it after seeing the disciples outside the door do it a few times. Senior brother, I also want to. Watching the three-eyed monkey happily playing with the new toy. Su Longxiang is also itchy with dim sum. He looks at Zhao Yuzhen's 2 fingers poking and poking together. Yes, he can't favor one over another, but he doesn't have any weapons suitable for Su Longxiang to use right now. Suddenly, a system reward technique flashed through my mind. That's a good idea. Junior brother, that's just a broken stick. What's so enviable about it? Senior brother is here to teach you martial arts. Do you want to learn it? Zhao Yuzhen looked at Su Longxiang, whose eyes were gradually brightening, and smiled warmly. Yes. What kind of martial arts is it? Su Longxiang's eyes lit up and he jumped excitedly. This martial arts technique is called Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique. With this, you can take your innate divine power to the next level. This Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita skill was obtained by signing in himself. Su Longxiang was born in a comfortable environment and had endless brute power throughout his body. This skill is just right for him. This technique has a total of 13 layers. After practicing 10 layers, ordinary people can gain 1,000 pounds of power from 10 dragons and 10 elephants. If it's Su Longxiang, it can even reach 10,000 pounds of power, with a total of 13 layers. Learn to learn. Su Longxiang excitedly sat down cross-legged and watched Zhao Yuzhen smirk foolishly. He doesn't understand these realms, he only knows that his brother will be happy if he knows he has developed skills. Zhao Yuzhen is now the closest person to him, and of course he is willing to teach him his martial arts. Looking at Su Longxiang sitting on the ground, Zhao Yuzhen smiled helplessly. Then he sat down behind him without any formalities. Double palm luck, the majestic true qi gushes out from his dantian, like the vast sea, inexhaustible and inexhaustible. Feel the true energy I am sending to you. Zhao Yuzhen closed his eyes, and at this moment, the cultivation method of Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita was slowly unfolding in front of him. For him, passing skills is not that difficult, and he still needs to be taught hand in hand for a few days. You only need to transport your true qi into someone else's body, and you can display all the techniques in their mind. Equivalent to future online courses. Su Longxiang also experienced the feeling of flying ahead of time this wave. All kinds of majestic movements, as well as the direction of true qi's movement in the meridians, flashed in his mind. I used to feel confused all along and always had a vague understanding of what to do. This clear and novel feeling now is an unprecedented and enjoyable experience. At this moment, there was a hint of silly smile on his face. Senior brother Zhao treated him so well, and if there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay him. I have to tell my brother about this matter. His family always worries that he will be bullied when he comes out. In Qingcheng Mountain, I still teach my skills when I have senior brother Zhao. In less than half a pillar of incense, the transmission of merit has been completed. It's just that Su Longxiang is already unclear about those profound names. However, just remember the pattern of movements and the flow of true qi, right? Senior brother, I have remembered all of these. In the future, I will definitely repay you. He gave a silly smile and then looked at the three-eyed monkey on the peach tree. Little monkey, senior brother has passed me a new martial arts technique. This time, I will definitely catch you. And the three-eyed spirit monkey mockingly sucked its mouth, seeming to disdain Su Longxiang, this silly kid. Zhao Yuzhen shook her head helplessly. Su Longxiang was indeed a child's nature, and he would say whatever he thought. But he did receive this offer. Alright, you two troublemakers, go out and practice. Senior brother, I need to prepare for a nap. Zhao Yuzhen yawned and said. One of these two is born with divine power and possesses the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique, while the other is born with a soul-devouring stick as a magic weapon. If we make a fuss here, the small courtyard won't be able to withstand it. Let them go fuck others, I just want to sleep in the warm sunshine for a while. Zhi. The three-eyed spirit monkey actually understands. He raised his bright red buttocks and shook Su Longxiang provocatively, then jumped onto the eaves and ran towards the back mountain. You come back to me. It was the child's nature that couldn't be provoked, so Su Longxiang rushed out. The two disciples guarding the door are no exception. After all, Su Longxiang never remembers to close the door every time he comes, so when Zhao Yuzhen had no other arrangements, he closed the courtyard door again. Stretching lazily, Zhao Yuzhen sat in her recliner, but to her surprise, she had not yet leaned back on the chair. A cold voice came from above. Are you Zhao Yuzhen? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Questioning Sword, Li Hanyi. De Zhang seeks a. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Zhao Yuzhen was certain that she had never heard this voice, but it was so familiar that she shouldn't have heard it turn around. I saw a snow-white figure standing on the wall of the courtyard, which was over 3 meters high. Surrounded by white snow, this person stands on the wall, seemingly echoing the surrounding environment and standing proudly like a white crane in the sky and earth. Cold, with a hint of pride. The strange mask on his face really made people laugh. There was no expression on a white ghost mask with narrow eyebrows and eyes. If left at night, it can indeed scare many people out of their wits. Just Zhao Yuzhen's attention is now all focused on the two quirky little beards under the bridge of her nose. For some reason, there was a feeling of wanting to laugh. Zhao Yuzhen couldn't help but twitch at the corner of her mouth, then looked up at Lai Man. Girl, it only snowed a few days ago and the wall hasn't completely melted. It's better to come down for some danger. To be honest, he was quite curious about what exactly Li Hanyi looked like. Under Li Hanyi's mask, his eyebrows couldn't help but furrow slightly, and he stepped lightly. The cloak curled up and some snowflakes drifted down in the air. The person landed steadily, wielding a sword and carrying it behind him, and lowered his voice, saying, How do you know I'm a girl? But you're just a girl. Zhao Yuzhen smiled warmly and slowly stood up. Would you like to come over and have a cup of hot tea? He pointed to the tea chair ornaments behind him, and the clear tea in the small stove was boiling hot with the heat. The white smoke generated by the cold air was rising upwards. At this moment, his peachwood sword is stuck in the soil. By using the heart technique of the Lihua formation, true qi is continuously transported towards the roots and stems. Li Hanyi had no interest in drinking tea and his gaze was all on the peachwood sword. It is said that Zhao Yu is really the first genius of Qingcheng Mountain. How could he do such a strange thing? Why is your sword stuck in the soil? Sure enough, I still can't get around this question, Zhao Yuzhen replied with a slight smile. Because I just infused the heart technique of the Lihua formation into the peachwood sword, inserted it under the tree, and in a while, there will be peaches to eat. Lihua formation heart technique. Isn't this the highest mind technique of the Taoist sect? Li Hanyi lowered her head slightly, and her originally calm eyes were now filled with confusion and surprise. At a young age, Zhao Yuzhen is truly a wonderful person who can cultivate the heart technique of the Lihua formation to such an advanced level. It's just that such martial arts are used to ripen peaches, which is unprecedented. If Li Hanyi were not wearing a mask at this moment, Zhao Yuzhen would be able to see the complex expression on her face. How could you use such martial arts to plant peaches? Li Hanyi couldn't help but stumble a step, and his gaze at Zhao Yuzhen was a bit complicated. Yeah, otherwise, the heart technique of Lihua formation wouldn't be very useful. Zhao Yuzhen answered truthfully. Eating a peach is so cool, do you want to come with me, girl? Li Hanyi inexplicably wanted to laugh, his head lowered, leaving only the front of Zhao Yuzhen's bamboo hat. She pressed her hand against the mask, coughed lightly, and then lifted her head and said coldly. I am Li Hanyi from Xu City. I heard that you are the youngest Tianshi since the opening of Qingcheng Mountain, practicing both Tao and Jian. Stop. Before Li Hanyi could finish speaking, Zhao Yuzhen raised her hand to interrupt and shook her head. Li Hanyi was puzzled and said, What's wrong? Zhao Yuzhen explained with a serious expression, Didn't you see that I'm still dressed in a green robe? It's still 3 months before I can crown myself with gold, and then I'll be conferred the title of Heavenly Master in a purple robe. Although the position of Heavenly Master has been predetermined for a long time, it's too early and low-key to say now. Li Hanyi took a deep breath and adjusted her mindset. Despite Zhao Yuzhen's nonsense, she continued to speak on her own. Whatever, I want to ask about your sword. After speaking, the hand behind him picked out a beautiful sword flower. With a crisp sound and a faint cold light, the rain sword stood upright in front of him. This sword is called Tingyu and was forged by King Li Su of the Sword Heart Tomb when he was young. It is one of the 4 elegant swords that listens to the rain, watches the snow, and looks at the flowers and smells the wind. Looking at Li Hanyi, who was eager to ask the sword, Zhao Yuzhen couldn't help but shiver. This Li Hanyi is indeed a bit cold. Looking back at the peach tree in bud, I suddenly felt a little worried that such a cold person might affect my peach tree. Li Hanyi seemed to be angered by Zhao Yuzhen's indifferent attitude. With a cold snort, he picked up his lightness skills under his feet, and after tossing and turning, he came to Zhao Yuzhen with his sword in hand. Zhao Yuzhen had been on guard for a long time. His right hand was sealed, and a talisman with strong true energy suddenly stopped in front of Li Hanyi. Dang! The sound of the sword edge being blocked further excited Li Hanyi. Is this the Taoism of Qingcheng Mountain? Looking at the mysterious talisman in front of him, Li Hanyi's eyes were only filled with excitement. Being able to confront such an expert was not a waste of his trip. Zhao Yuzhen doesn't want to be polite to her. The true energy flows through her meridians. The phantom of the golden lion suddenly appeared behind him. Roar! The sound of the lion's roar was no weaker than before, and it directly shook Li Hanyi more than 10 meters away. This powerful sound was something Li Hanyi had never seen before, and after stumbling on the ground, he finally used listening to the rain to stabilize his figure. Looking at Zhao Yuzhen, who was smiling warmly in front of him, Li Hanyi was shocked in her heart. This young man looks only a few years older than himself, how could he have such cultivation? I'm here to ask about swords. Don't use these Taoist techniques for me. At the same time, she also became a bit impatient. She always said she wanted to ask the sword, and using these Taoist techniques alone was meaningless for her. However, the shock that Zhao Yuzhen brought to her was genuine, and such a person must have been extraordinary with a sword. I can't use this sword now, eating peach is pointing at it. Zhao Yuzhen shook her head helplessly. He knew that the next step for Li Hanyi was to use his moonlit sunset and morning flowers to uproot all his peach trees. Don't delay yourself from receiving special rewards. This beautiful woman can be seen anytime, and ripening peaches is the most important thing. Steadily circulating true qi within his body, he could still see Li Hanyi's true appearance without using a sword. At this moment, Li Hanyi's aura is nowhere to be found. How could he use his unparalleled martial arts skills to do such a childish thing? The enemy is still thinking about those 2 broken peaches right in front of him. Why is the first day of Qingcheng Mountain like this? With a little light footwork, a powerful blue sword aura erupted from the sound of the rain sword. Mixed with several strong winds, Zhao Yuzhen is coming. A sudden sword will make the original Zhao Yuzhen instinctively dodge. At this moment, Zhao Yuzhen was already on guard. He could only see his right hand swiping a few times in the air, and his true energy surged outward with the movement of his fingers. Another mysterious talisman caught Li Hanyi's sword. You come back. Li Hanyi's heart ignited, and his sword energy became even more sharp. The collision of the two forces of Taoism and sword energy ignites the surrounding snow. For a moment, under the reflection of sunlight, the snow inside the house seemed to fall like stardust from the sky, drifting between the two of them. In a daze, Hanyi stared into Zhao Yuzhen's eyes, as if it were a deep and bottomless spring, warm yet tempting to continue exploring. Even she couldn't help but be stunned. And Zhao Yuzhen's other hand just flipped his wrist lightly, and a pruned peach tree branch flew towards his palm. Sword, not necessarily cold iron. When swordsmanship reaches a certain level, anything can be used to make swords. The flow and injection of true qi were just a moment when Zhao Yuzhen seemed to wave his hand. In fact, the sword energy still reached Hanyi. She just felt a chill in front of her. Click. The sound of the mask breaking echoed in her mind. Not only the mask, but also the hat, all shattered under this gentle wave. New book for collection. I hope readers who enjoy reading this book can provide great support. 1,000 flowers and one more change. 500 review votes plus one update. 10 people reward and one watch. 50 comments plus one update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. What? Yuzhen got married and even entered the bridal chamber. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The sunshine is just right at noon. The snowflakes stirred up by sword energy and Taoist techniques drifted down one after another at this moment, and time seemed to come to a standstill, making both of them turn pale. In the quiet courtyard, only the click sound of masks falling on the stone floor. I have seen many beautiful women on TikTok in my last life, but now it seems that even if they are added together, they are less than half of Hanyi. Seeing Hanyi in front of her, Zhao Yuzhen was slightly taken aback. As the bamboo hat split in half and slid down, a beautiful black hair fluttered in the wind like a waterfall. The handsome little face, which was the size of a palm, was not as cold as imagined. Instead, a hint of shyness appeared on both cheeks. Against the backdrop of her snow-white skin, she finally gained a touch of the delicacy that a girl of her age should have. You. Red lips lightly parted, and Hanyi's peach blossom eyes unexpectedly showed a hint of panic. Looking at the handsome Zhao Yuzhen in front of him, he finally hurriedly squatted down to pick up the broken mask and hat. Just as she bent down, her jade finger touched Zhao Yuzhen's warm big hand. She immediately drew her hand and stood up. This panic was completely different from encountering a sudden attack during a sparring. My heart beats rapidly, but I'm not afraid. On the contrary, there are too many. How much do you expect? After all, it was oneself who shot down Hanyi's mask and hat, so it was appropriate to help pick it up. Zhao Yuzhen gently wiped off the snow on top and handed it to Hanyi. Upon closer inspection, Hanyi is indeed a rare natural beauty, especially those eyes that always make people smile unconsciously when looking at others. Wait. I can't fall for the beauty myself. As sweet as it is in the front, it can be as cruel as it is in the back. He doesn't want to fall off as soon as he goes down the mountain. I have to tighten my grip, so let's not get involved with her anymore. Such a beautiful little fairy, it's better not to run into such deep mountains and forests. No, how did this statement change its flavor as soon as it was spoken? I didn't run around, I just came to ask the sword. Hanyi quickly took the things and wanted to turn around and leave. With his head lowered, he always wanted to lift it up and take another look at Zhao Yuzhen. This scene made him feel a bit uncomfortable. Is this beautiful wife handing over to someone else? No, it's not as flat as lying flat. Of course, it is impossible for oneself to go down the mountain, but Hanyi can freely come and go up the mountain. The rebellious cells inherent in his bones are causing trouble again. Lying flat and just talking, he can't really do nothing. The gatekeeper's disciple was already frightened by this powerful true qi and dared not move. Just two stunned youths didn't care about it at all. Even one person holding half of the watermelon from unknown sources, enjoying it while watching the play. What caught my eye was the scene where my senior brother and a stranger girl were speechless, just looking at each other. Monkey, is that what senior brother called a beautiful daughter? Law. Su Longxiang's 2 eyes sparkled. I seem to have a clear concept of what my senior brother said about a beautiful daughter. Law. Zhi, the monkey casually threw the melon in its hand, clasped its hands together and clapped in a human-like manner. Seeing their gaze cast towards me, I was even more excited as I danced and danced. Senior brother, your beautiful wife is like a fairy in the sky. Su Longxiang also climbed over the wall, smiling foolishly as if he had seen his future sister. Law. At this moment, Li Hanyi's face seemed to be on fire, instantly turning red, and even a few more blushes appeared on his white neck. Quickly turning around, even the coquettish voice was filled with shyness. I'll leave first. I will come back in 3 months' time. She seemed to want to turn back, but in the end, there was still a little underfoot. Gently climbing up the wall, accompanied by a gentle breeze, gradually disappearing into the distance. Looking at the footprints in the snow, Zhao Yuzhen felt inexplicably lost. Looking back on Li Hanyi's performance just now, the use of the word little fairy was really just right. Senior brother. At this moment, Su Longxiang, standing on the wall, slid down with a slip sound, and even several tiles fell off. Senior brother. Is that your beautiful daughter? Law. This height was not painful or itchy for him, and he rushed up to Zhao Yuzhen with a head full of snow, his eyes still shining with excitement. At a young age, where are you all daydreaming? Did you forget all about what senior brother said about you practicing martial arts well? Zhao Yuzhen coughed and brushed the snow off Su Longxiang's head. I don't usually see this kid being clever, why is he so energetic at this moment? Squeak. The 3-eyed spirit monkey saw Su Longxiang being scolded and covered its mouth, secretly laughing. Senior brother, I'm practicing hard. I promise. Su Longxiang couldn't see Zhao Yuzhen's awkwardness, but instead murmured in a slightly aggrieved voice. Besides, the rhubarb also laughed. Senior brother, why don't you say it? Rhubarb. Zhao Yu really wondered what kind of ghost rhubarb was. It's just a monkey. Su Longxiang pointed to the 3-eyed spirit monkey who was stealing music and said. Good guy. Zhao Yu really didn't see any connection between the gray-haired 3-eyed spirit monkey and the word rhubarb. He jokingly said. Shouldn't it be named Da Huang because your name is Huang Manor? Yes, my name is Huang Manor, so it's called Da Huang. Senior brother, you are so smart. You know what I think. Upon hearing this, Su Longxiang awkwardly scratched his head, with a silly smile still on his face. Forget it, Su Longxiang just needs to be happy. Zhao Yuzhen sighed helplessly and looked at the 3-eyed spirit monkey that had been given a name unrelated to its body, saying. And rhubarb, if you keep smiling, the peaches will be gone this month. We cannot favor one over the other. Zhao Yuzhen naturally talked about monkeys together. Upon hearing that the peach was about to disappear, De Huang's face immediately showed a mournful expression as he looked pitifully at Zhao Yuzhen, picked up a stick and held it in his arms. Seems to have suffered some immense injustice. And Su Longxiang, upon hearing his senior brother's approval of this name, almost jumped back onto the wall with joy. Huang Manor, I can't tell your master or them about this. Otherwise, they should come to find senior brother again. Faced with these 2 treasures, Zhao Yuzhen could only smile awkwardly. When people sit in the courtyard, peach blossoms come from the sky. If Yin Changshang and his team knew this, they would promise to educate themselves again. He just overlooked one thing. Outside the door, there are still 2 disciples who have been frightened and forced. The 2 disciples suddenly realized when they heard the words, Master. He just said that he would report any disturbance to him as soon as there was any wind or grass. Did that just happen to be a tornado? It's not good. A woman came to ask Xu Xiao about the sword. This statement swept the whole Qingcheng Mountain like a strong wind. What? Is there a woman specifically here to find Master Uncle? The disciples of Qingcheng Mountain practice every day and perform their duties according to the school's duty schedule. Any slight disturbance can immediately become the focus of attention. I'm telling you, there's a woman who wants to marry Master. A disciple was surrounded by other disciples, dancing and sharing the news they had just heard. The meaning is similar, he just repeated it in his own words. Nonsense. Master, it's clear that we're already married and we're about to have children. Another junior brother retorted with a slap on the thigh. Just as they were discussing, an older disciple happened to have returned from practicing in the back mountain. Suddenly, a cold sweat broke out all over. Thinking of the elder's previous instructions, I immediately rushed to the internal council of the sect. Ladies and gentlemen, Yuzhen's crown and golden gift. Yin Changshong, who was originally discussing Zhao Yuzhen's crown ceremony with the elders, saw his disciples looking anxious. Immediately waved his sleeve to signal everyone to be quiet. The disciple gasped for breath and made a bow before saying, "Elders, I heard that my senior uncle, he." The disciple hesitated to speak, seeming unsure of how to speak. Upon hearing that it was Zhao Yuzhen's affair, Yin Changsong immediately straightened up and said, "But it doesn't matter. The disciples are all saying that Master Uncle has married his wife and is still having a wedding in the small courtyard." What? Upon hearing this, Yin Changsong slammed the table and almost fainted in both eyes. Why did he only know about such a big thing? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Leader of Qingcheng Mountain. New book seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The elders saw this and quickly helped Yin Changsong sit down on a chair. I also poured him a cup of tea to calm him down. This is impossible. That's right, Yuzhen, this child has a simple mind. How could she possibly get married? Someone must be spreading rumors and causing trouble. The elders were discussing one after another, and even the hot tea in their hands almost spilled onto Yin Changshong. And he himself slowly stood up. The most feared thing for those who practice is falling into the dust net. Yuzhen, this child, has had high qualifications for cultivation since childhood, but as she grows older, her 7 emotions and 6 desires also increase. Let's go and follow me to Yuzhen's small courtyard to see. Supporting his dizzying head, Yin Changshong led a group of elders to Zhao Yuzhen's courtyard again. The disciples inside the door watched as the elders poured out their arms, their eyes full of amazement. I almost forgot that the matter of Master Uncle marrying his wife seems to be cooked with raw rice. It's strange if you elders are not surprised. When the elders arrived, there were already many disciples outside Zhao Yuzhen's small courtyard who happened to be looking curiously. Some are guarding here according to today's duty order, while others are coming to investigate upon hearing rumors. Seeing the majestic elder, he immediately retreated to the side and dared not speak, but his eyes were still filled with curiosity. Who said that you really wants to get married? Yin Changsong's sharp gaze skipped over the disciples. On the way here, he also became much more sober. Yuzhen, this child, doesn't even have a chance to go down the mountain. How could he bring back a wife? Just, in this small courtyard there is indeed a residue of genuine qi from outsiders. I don't know, we're all afraid of disturbing Uncle Shi's wedding arrangements. Ah no, we're not sure about the situation, just strolling over here to take a look. Most of the disciples came over to watch the excitement after hearing the rumors. Seeing the elder coming, everyone retreated one by one. Only one poor unlucky person couldn't escape and was caught by Yin Changsong. It is said that rumors stop at the wise, and we are practitioners. I hope this kind of rumor will not happen again. Yin Changsong remained calm and self-righteous, scolding him. The disciples who wanted to see the excitement all lowered their heads for a moment, but their eyes couldn't stop looking at Zhao Yuzhen's small courtyard. The disciple in front of the door opened it wisely. I saw Zhao Yu sitting leisurely on his bamboo chair, pouring the cooked tea into a cup. Su Longxiang and De Huang have already been driven by him to play elsewhere. As he expected, nothing can be hidden from the people in the mountains. Seeing the solemn expressions of the elders, he stood up helplessly. Although Qingcheng Mountain is usually pure-hearted, they only want to practice. But if there is gossip, it spreads faster than anyone else. Just now, I just gestured with Li Hanyi a few times. Who knows what happened when it reached the ears of these old men? Yuzhen, your small courtyard. Yin Changsong was about to speak, but he realized that something was wrong with this small courtyard. Not only is there residual true qi from outsiders, but even the snow on the wall has been swept clean. His gaze turned and he caught the traces left by Li Hanyi's sword energy before. Judging from Yin Changshong's appearance, Zhao Yuzhen had already guessed what he wanted to say. Opening the mouth. Master, today there is indeed a disciple of Shuyue's city named Li Hanyi who came to inquire about the sword. But the disciple has already dealt with her. Zhao Yuzhen gave a gentle smile, and her gentle voice seemed to be just talking about an insignificant matter. Snow Moon City Li Hanyi. Not only Yin Changsong, but also Qingcheng Mountain disciples, including all the elders, held their breath at this moment. This Li Hanyi is not an ordinary person. That is the daughter of Li Xinyue, the guardian of Qinglong, the four heavenly apocalypses. However, because she often appears in men's clothing, most people in the world do not know her true appearance. It's not too much to be called a fairy just because of her appearance. I just didn't expect that the leaders of the same generation could compete in such a way. Yuzhen, what was the final result like? That Li Hanyi is known in the martial arts world as the Lu Xia Tingyu sword without a trace and also a genius in the world. I don't know her appearance. How does her swordsmanship compare to yours? The anxious elders ignored Yin Changshong and gathered around to ask. Zhao Yuzhen looked at their anxious expression and shook her head helplessly. I recounted all the details of my confrontation with Li Hanyi, except for the phrase, after March, come ask the sword again. After hearing this, the elders looked embarrassed. We both looked at each other and understood what they were thinking. The question of whether Zhao Yuzhen won or not is not their biggest concern. It's just that young people's minds are always active, and what they fear the most is that Zhao Yuzhen's emotions are disrupted. Yuzhen, it will be your crown and golden gift in a while. Remember, you must guard your heart well. Who didn't come here when he was young? If Zhao Yuzhen had the idea of going down the mountain to see, Yin Changshong would also understand. After all, a beautiful and accomplished girl would have fallen from the sky like this, and even if it were him in his youth, it would inevitably shake his heart. I have discussed with all the elders that you will be the purple heavenly master and become the leader of Qingcheng Mountain. You should also start to accept disciples and teach them. The future of Qingcheng Mountain lies in you. The road ahead is long and arduous, my child. Yin Changsong's eyes were filled with worry. It is indeed a heavy burden for a young person to undertake the future of Qingcheng Mountain. Except for Zhao Yuzhen, none of them can afford to take on the position of head teacher. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Sword Ranking, 4th, King Li Su of Xinsai. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Shibwa, you're overthinking. Zhao Yuzhen just shook her head. Where in the world can we find a good thing that can be upgraded by lying down? It is impossible for oneself to descend the mountain in this lifetime. Yuzhen bears the destiny of heaven and man, and also has the inheritance of the two supreme skills of Qingcheng Mountain. Whether for the sake of the sect or for the safety of the world, I will not step out of this mountain gate. Facing Yin Changshong's eyes, he smiled warmly. Not to mention Li Hanyi, even if there is a real heavenly maiden outside, he doesn't want to step out of this small courtyard. But if someone goes up the mountain, they won't be able to control it themselves. Seeing Zhao Yu's true nature, the other elders couldn't help but nod with satisfaction. In those years, leader LV was right. Zhao Yuzhen was a genius who brought them to Qingcheng Mountain. At a young age, he was able to be so calm that even though he was a bit young to become the head teacher. But in the end, there are still these old bones around to support them. It's unlikely that in a few years, Zhao Yuzhen will become the first leader of the sect since their founding. Upon hearing this, Yin Changsong sighed, feeling somewhat skeptical. Since the day Zhao Yuzhen was able to speak, she has been acting unlike her peers. Teenagers are bound to encounter their own spring, and he doesn't believe it when he says he's completely unmoved. Without giving up, he pressed it against Zhao Yuzhen's ear and asked, "Do you really have no feeling at all?" Zhao Yuzhen just shook her head slightly, with no trace of dirt in her clear eyes. Seeing it, Yin Changsong felt that he had thought too complicated. After giving him a few more instructions, he left with the elders. When he closed the gate of the small courtyard, he turned around and glanced. Qingcheng Mountain was covered with heavy snow, but Zhao Yuzhen's yard seemed to be swept by the spring wind without any snow. I really feel a bit like a fairy home. This child, from birth to now, has given them too many surprises. Perhaps one day in the future, they will truly reach a realm that they can hope for but cannot reach. I hope this old bone can also have the opportunity to see this day. As they watched the elders leave, the disciples saw not only the disappointment of not seeing the future leader's wife, but also envy. That's Li Hanyi from Snow Moon City. Even the famous young talents in the martial arts world have come to their own martial uncle's courtyard. You said our martial uncle is too lucky. Even such a big peach blossom could hit him. I have a bold guess. You see, in the Qingcheng Mountain, besides the yard of martial uncle, who else has peach trees? Hiss. It seems like this is indeed the case. Even if you guard the peach tree, you can still wait for the peach blossom. Logically speaking, it's seamless. The disciples glanced at each other, their eyes shining as if they had gained some truth. I remember. How many peach trees do you think there are on the back mountain? I don't know who suddenly spoke up, and the surrounding air suddenly fell silent. You can run to the peach tree first, whoever owns it. Don't squeeze me, you. At this moment, Zhao Yuzhen, who was still looking at the peach trees in the small courtyard, suddenly sneezed. It seems that someone is talking about themselves. However, because of him, Qingcheng Mountain had a wonderful trend of planting peach trees. A sword heart tomb thousands of miles away. The expression on the head of the tomb, King Li Suwang, is not very attractive either. The child in cold clothes is really not a worry. With a wave of his hand, the servant who came to report the situation quickly retreated, leaving him alone in the hall to sigh. It's really difficult for a female college student to stay. He complained that his granddaughter went to Qingcheng Mountain to ask for a sword and didn't even say hello to him. It seemed that King Li Su thought of his daughter again. In the end, she sighed helplessly. Since she wanted to go, let's go. Qingcheng Mountain. He did remember a prodigy named Zhao Yuzhen practicing there, but this person had a divine destiny and could not step down the mountain gate for a lifetime. Once down the mountain, not only in the martial arts world, but also in the court, there will be a bloody storm. There must be gains and losses. Li Suwang couldn't help but sigh. My granddaughter is good everywhere, she just wants to be too strong, it's not that he's meddling. I'm just worried that no one dares to take this little girl in the future. I went to Qingcheng Mountain to ask for the sword. 90% of them wanted to return to defeat. However, this is also good. On the road to success, one always needs to be polished to get better. Thinking of this, Li Suwang softened his white beard and his gaze unexpectedly showed a hint of joy. Looking at the list of famous swords by my side, I couldn't help but have another little calculation in my heart. It's a good thing that we can't win. At least he is also the owner of this sword heart tomb, and most of the famous swords in the world come from him. According to the girl's personality, she is definitely unwilling to accept defeat. If she refuses to accept defeat, she will naturally come to her for a more powerful sword. The last time I saw her was several years ago. I wonder what kind of appearance this child has become now. I think she should be as handsome as her mother, right? Thinking of his family, a rare hint of relief appeared on Li Suwang's face. My gaze also turned to the hanging heart behind the throne in the main hall. This sword is a rare divine weapon named with a single character in the world. If it weren't for the little girl's unwillingness to inherit the position of tomb master, this heart sword, ranked 4th in the world, should be in her hands now. Helplessly shaking his head, Li Suwang sat down on the chair again. It's just that. If you don't inherit, then don't inherit. Let's go with the girl. With her status as the world's top swordsmith, it's no big deal. Just make her another peerless divine weapon. At this moment, Li Suwang's mind was filled with scenes of himself and his granddaughter gathering, thinking about the excited look on the little girl when she received the new sword. King Li Su almost burst out laughing. Goo-goo. Goo-goo. A pure white pigeon suddenly trembled its wings and stopped by the window of the sword pavilion. Is this the carrier pigeon of my granddaughter? Li Suwang recognized the carrier pigeon from Li Hanyi at a glance and quickly untied the letter from its leg. However, after he finished reading, his smile solidified on his face. The letter was sent 5 days ago. It said that Li Hanyi was going to Qingcheng Mountain to ask for the sword. It also indicates that whether the sword is successful or not this time, she will go to Kunlun Mountain to seek the Iron Horse Ice River afterwards. These 4 words are familiar to King Li Su, and he ranks 3rd in the top 10 famous swords in the world. It is the most cold sword in the world, and it has a frost-cold sword aura, with a powerful and domineering sword power. Legend has it that the sword of a Kunlun sword immortal 100 years ago was sealed with a sword formation after his passing. It's incredibly difficult to remove it. My precious granddaughter, your grandfather, the world's top swordsmith, is here. With just one sentence, why go to Kunlun Mountain without any divine weapons or weapons? Li Suwang sat on a chair and looked up at the ceiling at a 45-degree angle, tears streaming down his face. Heart congestion, Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. By Xiao Tang's evaluation of the Jianghu storm. Qingcheng. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. As the saying goes, there is no airtight wall under this sky. It has only been 3 days since Li Hanyi went to Qingcheng Mountain to ask Zhao Yuzhen for his sword. The story about them has been spread in the Jianghu. The immortal genius of Qingcheng Mountain defeated the Snow Moon Sword Immortal with one sword, which has become the most popular topic of discussion. According to legend, the Snow Moon Sword Immortal Li Hanyi stood on the courtyard with a sword in hand. Just as she recited Zhao Yuzhen's name, a burst of true energy suddenly erupted. In the tavern, a storyteller took a picture of the startled wood and told the guests who had dinner below the story of Qingcheng Mountain. And this Zhao Yuzhen is already an extraordinary talent who has never been born. With this move, the sword energy soared into the clouds, and in just one battle, Bai Xiao Tang was crowned the title of Dao Sword Immortal. After speaking, he pulled open a scroll. The 3 characters, Bai Xiao Tang, are prominently written on it. And below, the 5 great sword immortals of the time have been selected. There is no need to say much about the figures such as Li Hanyi, the Snow Moon Sword Immortal. Among them, Zhao Yuzhen, who only made one move and was named Dao Sword Immortal, is particularly prominent. Qingcheng Mountain is really going to take off this time. Who said it's not? This is a sword immortal, how valuable it is. People rushed forward to watch eagerly Zhao Yuzhen. These 3 words seem like a high mountain in their eyes, and throughout their lives, they can only look up. In the corner, Lei Bang from the Thunderbolt Hall in Jiangnan was shaking his wine glass alone. Upon hearing the 3 words, Dao Jian Xian, he drank the turbid wine from the cup. Qingcheng Mountain, the unborn genius Zhao Yuzhen, ah. Finally, he found someone he was interested in. Thinking of this, he threw the wine money onto the table and walked straight outside the house. Traveling in the martial arts world, news is also an important part. Tang is a recognized intelligence agency by people from all walks of life in the martial arts world. As long as the price is reasonable, there is nothing they do not know. The Jianghu ranking list it has issued is an unparalleled authority in the hearts of everyone. People who can rank high are top-notch in terms of qualifications and cultivation. Zhao Yuzhen is the sword immortal when he makes a move, and looking at the entire martial arts world, he is a unique existence. The whole Jianghu is boiling at this moment because Zhao Yuzhen is alone. Within the Snow Moon City, Xikong Changfeng rubbed a small beard on his chin, and on the table was the latest ranking list released by Tang. Although he was only the 3rd lord, he lived like a great lord. Beili knows how to make wine in his hiding room every day. The 2nd city lord is not so good. This time, she goes to Qingcheng Mountain to ask. TSK, the martial arts world is indeed the realm of young people. Looking at the 3 words Zhao Yuzhen, Xikong Changfeng felt 1,000 emotions in his heart. At a young age, he entered the carefree realm and was crowned with the title of Dao Sword Immortal, with just 1 sword. Such innate intelligence is also enough to embarrass their predecessors. I'm sure give him some more time, and his cultivation will definitely reach an astonishing level. Holding the list in hand, Xikong Changfeng was amazed. The sound of porcelain breaking suddenly came from inside the room, and he was startled. His face quickly changed its expression. Squeezing his throat and tiptoeing, he quickly ran over. Good daughter, don't make a fuss. Tell Dad what you want. Qingcheng Mountain doesn't know what luck it is. Unmatched City Lord Song Yen slammed the list back onto the table. Zhao Yu only drew his sword once and became a sword immortal. Looking at the disciples in my own sect, one by one, they are not active in cultivation, ranking first in dry rice. Master, don't be angry. The eldest disciple Lu Yuzhai spoke cautiously. Zhao Yu is really too rebellious. He broke through the Xiaoyao heavenly realm a few years ago. With this talent, they can't help it, can they? How can I not be angry? You guys are putting me on the list one by one, making a living. Song Yen shook her head vigorously. He also needs to hurry up and find a talented disciple to pass on his legacy. Looking at the unparalleled sword box enshrined in the main hall, his heart couldn't help but tighten. There is no such thing as a twin city in this world, you must personally revive it. Beyond the realm, beyond the heavens. Yi Dingji couldn't help but furrow his brow as he looked at the letter passed back from his subordinates. They are planning to march eastward and northward. Why did Qingcheng Mountain produce another sword immortal? Master. But what's new news about Beili? The white-haired fairy beside him asked. Not bad, another sword immortal has emerged. Yi Dingji handed the letter over, with a hint of worry in his eyebrows and eyes. After reading it, the white-haired immortal's eyes also darkened. Master, should we send someone over first to investigate the truth and falsehood? This Zhao Yuzhen was called a sword immortal after only 1 move, which is somewhat unreliable. After thinking for a moment, Yi Dingji nodded. Then he turned his gaze to the map of Beili hanging on the wall, which was densely filled with their action plans. There were already 4 sword immortals in Beili, and now another unknown Zhao Yuzhen has arrived. This eastward expedition is really troublesome. Tianshi City, the capital of Beili. In the imperial study, Emperor Mingda sat on a chair with his eyes closed. Your Majesty, it is said that Zhao Yuzhen of Qingcheng Mountain defeated Li Hanyi with 1 sword, and was crowned the Taoist sword immortal in the Jianghu. The shadow guard, kneeling in front of his desk, spoke out the rumors he had heard about the martial arts world in detail. After listening, Emperor Mingda waved his hand and the shadow guard disappeared in an instant. The destiny of heaven and humanity, Zhao Yuzhen. He slowly opened his eyes and raised the shadow guard himself, not only to protect him, but also to constantly keep track of the world. Zhao Yuzhen has heard about this for a long time. Before his death, Lu Suzhen, the leader of Qingcheng Mountain, left a motto saying that he was endowed with the destiny of heaven and man and could not go down the mountain all his life. Otherwise, not only in the martial arts world, but also in this court, it will not be peaceful. Unexpectedly, his cultivation had become so terrifying that even the snow moon sword Immortal Li Hanyi was repelled with one move. That's the daughter of Li Xinyue, the guardian of the four apocalypses. She knows her strength very well. With such cultivation now, if given more time, his future achievements would be immeasurable. After much contemplation, Emperor Mingda said in a deep voice. "Excuse me, I'm going to the Imperial Academy for a trip." Inside the Qingtian Temple, Qi Tianchen is meditating. As if sensing something, he slowly opened his eyes and shook his head, sighing. The one who should have come is still unavoidable. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard the guard outside the door say in a loud voice. "Your Majesty is here." Qi Tianchen stood up to welcome him, but was stopped by Emperor Mingda. "Master Gua, wait a moment. This time I'm here mainly for a rumor in the martial arts world." Qi Tianchen just smiled and said, "I don't know what your Majesty is saying." "Guasher, stop playing tricks on me. It's not about Zhao Yuzhen in Qingcheng Mountain. It is rumored that before the death of the heavenly master Lv Suzhen, there was a proverb left behind, saying that this person possessed the destiny of a heavenly being. Once he descended from the mountain, the court and the public would be in turmoil. Now that he has been crowned as a sword immortal with just one sword, I'm worried." Emperor Mingda did not finish speaking, just a pair of deep eyes, always staring at Qi Tianchen. "No, no, no." However, Qi Tianchen only stroked his long white beard and smiled slightly, saying, "Most of these rumors in the martial arts world are just nonsense. Your Majesty has been too concerned." Qi Tianchen smiled lightly as before. However, in the eyes of Emperor Mingda, there was still a hint of worry. After a moment of flickering, his gaze fixed, as if he had finally made some decision. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. 5,000 tiger bens go to Qingcheng, seeking flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the first ray of sunshine at dawn falls on the magnificent palace of Tianshi City, the drumbeat of the court urged the courtiers to go to court with a rumbling sound. I saw the palace gate wide open, and courtiers dressed in neat official uniforms entered in order. When Emperor Mingda ascended the dragon chair, countless courtiers knelt solemnly, shouting, "Long live." The sound echoed throughout the entire palace, and only Emperor Mingda, who was accustomed to seeing the storms, had no waves in his eyes. "Ladies and gentlemen, please rise up." A low voice sounded, and the courtiers finally stood up from the ground. The sharp gaze swept over the courtiers, and Emperor Mingda spoke up. "Zhao Yuzhen, Qingcheng Mountain, has been crowned as the Taoist sword immortal in the Jianghu. I want to send 5,000 Huban troops to the foot of Qingcheng Mountain to ensure the safety of the court and the countryside." As soon as these words were spoken, the ministers in the court looked at each other in confusion. 5,000 Tiger Ben Lang, go to garrison at Qingcheng Mountain. Isn't this nonsense? Your Majesty, absolutely not. The Tiger Ben army is the elite of our dynasty. It is not appropriate to send people to go forward in a frenzy for the sake of a vague hypothesis. Yeah. Rushing to mobilize 5,000 tiger heads requires a huge amount of financial and material resources, and it really undermines the dignity of our court. Your Majesty, please think twice. As soon as these words were spoken, most of the courtiers bent down to advise. Leader LV of Qingcheng Mountain exhausted all his accomplishments before he died. But their imperial censorate can also divine divination and divination. Even the national teacher Qi Tianchen said this was baseless talk. Your Majesty, it is probably not appropriate to do so. Moreover, sending troops to garrison is not a small matter. The required military supplies, horses, and daily expenses need to be obtained from the national treasury. The existing Tianyi heavenly demon cult leads the north barbarians and the south to covet, and the country's military strength cannot be wasted here. Emperor Mingde didn't speak, just looked at these ministers and sighed. His territory was originally taken from him by the former Langya king Xiao Ruofeng and the people of the martial arts world. He knew very well that to secure this dragon chair, he couldn't do without the support of these martial arts experts. However, water can carry boats and capsize them. He still understands such a simple truth. Absurdity. Your Majesty has his own plans for such a decision. Do you understand Your Majesty's good intentions? Some courtiers, seeing that Emperor Mingde had been silent for a long time, would steer their course according to the wind. No matter how much they say, this decision will ultimately have to be made by the emperor. In the end, they are just a group of laborers. Since I can't stop it, I agree. Isn't it necessary to waste 5,000 Tiger Benlang like this? A little sword immortal, if something really happens, I won't be able to stop him with so many experts in the imperial court. Your Majesty's actions have their own reasons, how can you speculate? At this moment, most of the courtiers in the court are divided into two factions. Only a few people remain silent, waiting for Emperor Mingde to make the final decision. As the courtiers argued, Emperor Mingde's gaze gradually cleared and he still made up his mind. With a wave of his big hand, the entire court fell silent in an instant. Now, the cavalry general, Wang Tai, will go to Qingcheng Mountain today by ordering 5,000 Tiger Benlang. Above the head of Beiliang city, a handsome young man was standing in the wind, and the cold wind blowing freely from his shop did not show much expression on his long hair. One move to defeat the sword immortal. Qingcheng Mountain. Zhao Yuzhen. Recently, I heard from the family that a Dao sword immortal has emerged from the central plains. And with just one move, he repelled the already famous Snow Moon sword immortal Li Hanyi. He also has some understanding of the rumors in the martial arts world. Since his graduation, Li Hanyi has been searching everywhere for experts to challenge him. I finally earned the title of Snow Moon Sword Immortal, but how could I be repelled by a young Taoist who was not born? The handsome young man's thoughts flowed in his eyes, thinking that Su Fengnian had only recently started practicing martial arts. I didn't expect my peers to have already reached this level. It's really boring to huddle in this northern Yangcheng. I should go out and take a look again. Su Fengnian pondered in his heart. The first time I had a private affair with Lao Huang, I suffered a lot and only saw the lowest level of the martial arts world. Now that I am also considered a martial arts practitioner, according to reason, I should also go and see the real martial arts world. Thinking of this, he touched the embroidered winter on his waist. As a matter of fact, Huang Manor was sent by Xu Xiao to Qingcheng Mountain to learn Taoism. He has not seen him for a long time and misses him very much. Huang Manor is born with divine power, but her brain is not very intelligent, and she doesn't know how she's doing there. From the letter sent back by Yin Changsong, it seems that he has a good relationship with Zhao Yuzhen, who is known as the Dao Sword Immortal. Although my younger brother is not intelligent, he still knows whether others are really good to him. For ordinary people, Huang Manor is simply impossible to get close to. From childhood to adulthood, apart from his own brother, he doesn't even have much affection for his father Xu Xiao. This Zhao Yuzhen is really a bit interesting. Qingniao, go tell Xu Xiao. I'm going out for a trip. I'll go to Qingcheng Mountain to see Huang Manor and meet Zhao Yuzhen, who is known as the Sword Immortal. Yes, Your Highness the Crown Prince. As he spoke, he saw Qingyao behind Su Fengnian, with a hint of hesitation in his eyes, and immediately took a step forward. Crown Prince, this time out of the martial arts world, please bring the blue bird with you. Nature. Su Fengnian smiled. Qingyao was ordered to turn around and leave. Su Fengnian turned around and waved to Jiang and I behind him. Little clay figurine. I'll also take you out this time to broaden your horizons in the martial arts world. Jiang and I angrily waved his fist and said, who wants to go out with you? It's shameless. Su Fengnian smiled indifferently. Really not. This time we are going to Qingcheng Mountain to see the Immortals. Maybe if we see the Immortals and ask them to teach you 2 moves, you can kill me. Jiang and I was taken aback. After all, it was a girl's nature, and her face couldn't hide her thoughts. Upon hearing these words, a happy expression appeared in her beautiful eyes. As soon as he looked up, he saw Su Fengnian looking at her with a teasing expression. Seeing through his worries, Jiang and I turned his head directly. Then he snorted twice and obediently followed Su Fengnian down the city with his head down. In the Chowting Pavilion, the Prince of Northern Liang, Su Xiaozheng, played chess with the poisonous warrior Li Yishan. After listening to the report from his subordinates, there was a hint of surprise on his face. Feng Nian is going out for the 2nd time, so you can't be bullied like last time. Su Xiao seemed to mutter to himself. Li Yishan raised his hand and asked, what does the prince plan to do? Su Xiao glanced at the chessboard and found himself in a state of decline. He was powerless to turn the tide and would lose the game without taking 10 steps. After a slight pause, Su Xiao suddenly stood up and accidentally knocked the chessboard askew. Hehe, look, I won right away, it's a pity. Li Yishan smiled but remained silent for a moment. Where are you going, Prince? Su Xiao said with a solemn look, go and invite the old sword god. He is beside Feng Nian. Whether the boy goes to Qingcheng Mountain or the Apocalypse City, I will feel relieved. After finishing speaking, he pushed the door open and gave instructions to his adopted son who was waiting outside the door. Jian Fengzi Camp, Ningame leads 800 white horses to obey, protecting the crown prince from any mistakes. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.